Welcome to Imprint, a podcast about creating a home and life you love. I'm Natalie Walton, an interior designer, stylist, and best-selling author focused on an holistic approach to homes. Each week, I'm sharing insights and interviews about the creative process to help you enhance both your interiors and well-being, as well as provide you with the tools and resources to make considered and sustainable choices with all that you create. Hello and welcome back to the Imprint podcast. I'm Natalie Walton and today we're diving into the final part of our styling strategy series. This one is for every designer who's ever felt like they're doing everything right but still wondering why their work isn't standing out. Over the last 2 episodes, we've explored how to style with intention to make marketing magnetic, and how to turn one style shoot into months of content without feeling like you've swapped your design job for that of a content creator, because most of us don't sign up for that. Well, what are we going to talk about today? We're going deeper into something that underpins everything you do as a designer or stylist, and that is your point of difference. Now, we're going to look at trends. And this is something that I don't often talk about, and I'm going to talk about it in a way that you might not expect, and how to filter them so that you can uncover your own unique aesthetic to stand out in a saturated market, attract the right clients, and build a brand that lasts. So, this is maybe what you're not expecting me to say. Trends are seductive, we all know that, but they're not always bad. Now, at first, I was going to say, when I was writing my outline, I was going to say, and I was writing some notes and thinking about how do I want to phrase this? I want to get clear across this, about this. And I was going to start by saying that trends are a waste of time, and they are, but they are always seductive and with a good reason. So why is that? What it happens is that we crave something new. And what I see happen is that we reach a tipping point with what we're craving for various reasons. So let's take a look at the example of white kitchens. Now, they became very popular in the 90s and the 2000s and beyond, up until probably maybe about 5 or so years ago, because they were very clean looking and often they were in small spaces, and it was how we could make them look bigger and brighter and more appealing, because they had gone from being tucked at the back of homes to kind of coming out. And, they also really, it was a way to simplify our spaces as well. And we loved them until we didn't. And then everyone started to crave warmer tones in the kitchen because our kitchens were becoming more part of the living areas. And so trends do respond to how we live. And in that sense, they're not altogether bad. However, it's when trends become gimmicky that we have to watch out. Now, I love checkerboard tiles. They are classic. You will find them, back in old historic Italian homes and Greek homes. And, they go way back hundreds and hundreds of years. But right now, they're also being done to death. And people are getting very clever and creative with them. And, sure, it's fun to look at. But when I'm designing for a client, and I've done this recently and specified checkerboard tiles, I always ask myself, how can I do this in a way that feels good to me, that feels and looks timeless? Because tiles are expensive, and I don't want my client to spend a lot of money on tiles. And, because like I say, it's a big investment. These particular ones were marble, and I want them, my client and myself, to still love them in 5 years' time, even in 2 years' time. I don't want them to look and think, oh, they're so 2025. So the way that I do this is to filter any design decision and any styling decision through my unique style, which is grounded in 3 ideas: beauty, timelessness, and simplicity. So today I want to help you create a filter for your unique style, because when you do, design decisions become easier, sourcing and styling choices become easier too. And even better, they become more impactful because you are not trying to be like everyone else. You are sharing your own unique point of difference, which becomes magnetic and helps you to stop blending in. You become known for something. You don't get lost in the sea of noise that is out there. You stop being invisible And this is how you can start to become more in demand. This is how you build authority, expertise, and trust in your design business. So I want you to be careful with trends. They can be seductive. They can feel like a shortcut. And you can see something getting attention, and it's easy to think, if I style like that, maybe I'll get more likes or more shares or more clients. And yes, following a trend might get you a few quick wins, but this is the trap it's so easy to fall into, is that you can get caught in a constant loop of reacting. You're always one step behind, and your work ends up looking like everyone else's. I call it the Pinterest problem. It looks beautiful, but also a little generic, interchangeable. The work may be polished, but it's not personal. Worse, it's not memorable at all. And trends create a false sense of progress. They make you visible, but not valuable. You might get noticed for a moment, but it's not you they're remembering, it's the trend. And so this is where we have to be really careful with trends, is that if we rely on them to drive your work, to drive the interest, you can end up attracting clients who are looking for a look, not your expertise. So if you're constantly chasing what's current, your work will always be late. Or if you're getting seduced by what you're seeing a lot of, then what you really need to know is that by the time it hits Instagram, it's actually already on the decline. And the clients that you really want, the ones who value your creative vision, they're not looking for what's trending, not the ones that you want to work with over and over again, because they're going to get disappointed in a couple of years when they're like, oh, that just looks so dated now. They're looking for what's timeless, what's thoughtful, and what's you. So how do we create work that actually stands out? We need to flip this. And, if following trends doesn't work, then what does? Well, as I've shared with my own story, it's about getting clear on your point of difference. This is the unique combination of your values, your eye, and your creative approach. It's the thread that runs through your work, whether you're aware of it or not. It's the reason why when someone scrolls past your image, they stop, they feel something, they recognize you and your contribution and your unique vision and eye. And the way that this shows up is in the way that you layer textures, the way you compose a room, the tones you gravitate toward, the story you tell with each space. And here's the key. You don't have to invent it. You just have to notice it, nurture it, and use it intentionally. Designers who stand out don't try to be different just for the sake of it. They're not trying to say, oh, how can I be different from everybody else? Instead, they're just consistently being themselves. This was a key idea in my book, This Is Home, which has just reached 7 years since publication. As I record this now, it's like 2 days off from that happening, from having its global worldwide release. And I had traveled around the world to go and look at all sorts of different homes. And even just when I was sourcing homes, and the ones that felt genuine and unique were where the homeowners, they were being true to themselves. They weren't trying to be like someone else, but they were really responding to what their story was, what really resonated with them, with the feeling that they tried to create, and also to connecting with the surrounding environment. They were being authentic to that as well. Now, if you want a visual breakdown of how to really get more in touch with your unique style, I am going to be doing this in my free training, upcoming training, The Confident Stylist. So if you'd like to see what that looks like, because I know sometimes it can really help to have a visual, you can go and register at nataliewalton.com/confident. And we've got a link in the show notes for you as well for that. All right, but let's have a look at some ideas and questions you can ask yourself today. The first step in terms of uncovering your point of difference is to really get a bit more granular with it. And first of all, look at your past work. So notice, what do you repeat, even unintentionally? What are the patterns, the colors, the textures, the compositions that show up again and again? And maybe what do people consistently compliment you on when it comes to your interiors? When they walk into your spaces, even if it's with your own home, what do people say? I know that people, for me, they often say, oh, I just feel so calm in here. And, that is something that I really aspire to with my spaces, is to create a feeling of calm. It comes back to that idea of simplicity. I want that feeling of simplicity and beauty and timelessness in my spaces. So what is it for you when people step into your home? How do people respond? Maybe they say, oh, this is so fun. Like, I love the colors that you've used, or, oh, it feels so homey, or, so like, I just feel like I never want to leave. Like, what are the compliments that you get about your spaces, your interiors, or the clients say to you? Also, what gets saved and shared from your work? When you look at your Instagram posts, it's always such a good data point to really understand what is resonating with people. And also really look at the patterns, because these will reveal your preferences, and your preferences are part of your point of difference. So the next step is to really clarify what you stand for. So what's your lens on design? What do you believe a space should feel like? Is it about calm and clarity? Is it about nostalgia and storytelling? Is it about layered minimalism or bold restraint? What are the values that you come back to when it comes to creating spaces? This can really become your North Star, the thing that you return to when you're making creative decisions. You're not just filling a space, you're expressing something. And also think about, what is your South Star? So if your North Star is what you always go towards, what your South Star? What is what you always try and avoid or stay away from? Maybe it's color for you, or maybe it's neutral interiors. Maybe they're not for you. Sometimes it's easier to know what you don't like to help you get clear on what you do like. I know for me, I don't like clutter in spaces. I mean, some people love creative clutter, like, oh, I'm an artist and I'm a bowerbird and, I like to collect things. And for me, that just feels claustrophobic. And that's just a personal choice. It is not right or wrong. That is just my personal choice. And the more that I embrace that and what feels right for me, then I will attract those types of clients into my world. Also, I really encourage you to embrace your background. So what past shapes your perspective? What is it about your own personal journey, your own personal story, whether you come from a background in fashion or journalism, architecture, or something entirely different? This will infuse the way that you see the world through your specific lens. That is your strength. And the more that you hone in on that, the more that you bring those elements into what you create, the more that, again, people will be attracted to you for that. So what's the overlap between your skills, your story, and your style? Write down these words or themes that keep showing up in your work, or what you want to be known for. Now, this next step relates to how to style with a point of difference. Because of course, it is one thing to design a space, and you're creating the frame, you're creating the foundations, you're infusing the functionality into your interiors. But the styling is what brings it to life. The styling is what injects the soul, the personality, the real point of difference in terms of the type of person that's living here, or how you want to connect with your future clients. And once you know your point of difference, you can really use it on purpose. So start every project with a really clear intention. Before you open Pinterest, before you look at anyone else's work, ask, what do I want to say with this space? What do I want to share about this project? What do I want to filter through my client in terms of their unique style and what's important to them, and the lens that I'm going to bring to this, the filter that I'm going to attach to this? And be really deliberate in your choices. So choose pieces that support your aesthetic, not just fill the space. Use styling to reinforce your creative vision, not distract from it, and be consistent with color, texture, rhythm, and story. And when you work this way, your styling decisions start to become much faster too, because they're grounded in your values, not the algorithm. And it starts to become more instinctual as well. And it helps you stop second guessing yourself all the time, because second guessing often happens when we're looking outwards. We're looking at what other people are doing. We're looking at, that kind of affirmation or that confirmation that we're part of the in-group. But when we start to create from within, when we start to create from what feels in alignment with who we are, what we believe in, and what we want to create, the more that we do that, the more we create work that stands out and that then becomes magnetic and really draws people into our world. So you actually then start to lead with style, and you're not just following friends. You're not just following trends, and maybe make some friends along the way as well. All right. And so the third step relates to how to make your unique point of difference really benefit your business. And this is where it all comes together. So when you start with intention, when you have this clear point of difference, you stop competing on price and you start attracting clients who want your eye, your vision, your unique take on how you are going to bring this project to life. And this is how you become referable, recognizable, and remembered. Your images get saved, not just liked. Your name gets shared, and you build a brand that's based on substance, not surface. And this is the best part. It makes everything else in your business so much easier as well. It makes your marketing easier because you've created a true point of difference. You've got a way to stand out in the marketplace. It helps your messaging in terms of you can talk about your process, which is going to be different to what other people do. You can talk about your design decisions, which are going to be informed by different, reasons, different values. You can build a portfolio that is going to, build upon itself and get stronger and stronger with each shoot. If you're just following trends and doing what everyone else is doing, then your portfolio is going to be all over the place. Whereas if you keep tapping into and staying connected with what is unique to you, your portfolio will get stronger and stronger because that visual thread will get thicker and thicker. It'll become more and more apparent with each project. And it will also help your client communication because, they will also be really clear on what you stand for. And, you won't have to be explaining yourself because your work will do the explaining. So when you know what you stand for and you show it consistently, you really become known for it. Okay, so let's just take a quick review. Really think about what is your point of difference? What's the feeling your spaces evoke? What's the thread that ties your work together? And if you don't know yet, that's okay, but start creating this awareness, start paying attention because it is already there. You just have to trust it. I mean, sometimes we're just so close to something, we can't see it. And when students in the Styling Masterclass, when they submit their first series of work, I can instantly see what their style is. And they might struggle to articulate the words at first, but it is so obvious when we look at somebody else's work, and it can be so hard when we look at our own. But like I said, sometimes going through that exercise of not just asking what is our North Star, but what is our South Star, that can really help shine a light on what is it that we want to stay away from, what actually doesn't feel in alignment for us, because that can give us more clarity about what does feel good. And like I said, then you can start to trust the process more. So what I want you to hopefully take away from this episode, it's a sort of slightly shorter episode, but I hope that it's really resonated with you, is to really, first of all, beware trends because it can really get you into a kind of content creation wheel or a design creation wheel where you're kind of always on the back foot and something can look dated before you've even begun. But if you do apply your filter, your lens to what you're seeing or what you're gravitating towards, then this is how you can start to develop your own unique point of difference. This is how you can start to develop your taste. And this is what will ultimately last. This is what will create that sense of timelessness. And the more that you connect with that, the more your work will stand out, not just online, but really, with those clients that you're trying to attract into your world. Okay, I hope that you have found this really valuable. Thank you so much for joining me for this 3-part styling strategy series. I really wanted to pull apart some of the strategies that I'm sharing in the styling playbook for interior designers. I have got 10 strategies in that playbook, and I've shared with you 3 of them in these episodes. Now, if you want to go and grab your copy of the playbook, you can go and get a copy at nataliewalton.com/playbook. If you want to see how this breaks down visually, come join my free training at nataliewalton.com/confident. Both links are in the show description, which is on your device right now. You don't even need to go to the show notes. You can just see it straight away. And just to recap, we have looked at how to make your marketing magnetic. We've looked at a 5-step process, an easier way to create content that serves you for months, even years. And today we've looked at how you can develop your own unique point of difference so you can stand out and attract your ideal clients. As always, I would love to hear from you if you have found this episode valuable. This is episode 239, so you could put a quick comment in the review section, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at Natalie Walton. Always love to hear from you. Of course, if you know anyone who is maybe starting out on this journey, or they're curious to explore a new career in this world, then please share this with them. And I would always, like I said, it's always appreciated when you share with anyone that you know. So until next time and next week, where I will meet you at the same time and the same place, I encourage you to go create, go make some magic, and most of all, go make your mark. See you soon. All of the links and info for this episode are at nataliewalton.com/podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can get a direct download of the latest episode. And I really appreciate when you take a minute to rate and review, as well as share the love with someone you know who might benefit from this episode, or on social media. If you'd like to access a range of free resources, come visit my website, nataliewalton.com. Thank you to Jaeger Media for producing this podcast. And I would also like to acknowledge the people of the Bundjalung Nation where it was recorded, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I look forward to connecting again soon. I'm Natalie Walton, and you've been listening to Imprint.